Hey, yo, episode 3, taking it back. My name's Under Confidential. That is Jay Burns. That is Tato. Fellas, let's just jump right into it. Fun fact: comments loved 3 straight white males talking about the black community. So let's talk about the female.
I'm not even white.
You white man.
That's fair.
Let's talk.
Did he get nominated for a fucking Oscar this year?
No.
All right then.
Unfortunately, banger. The white community or the female community, they're up in arms right now with Barbie. Barbie. I want to start off by giving a little mini review. Good movie, really good movie. I really enjoyed that movie. The issue with the community is the fact that it did not get nominated for Best Lead Actress in Margot Robbie, and not Best Director in Greta Gerwig, the two white female participants in the movie. Well, I'm specifying white in that is because America Ferrera did get nominated for Best Supporting Actress as a Hispanic Latina. So not saying that's why she got it, but I'm just saying that's just an interesting part that's getting added to this narrative. And then obviously the straight white male of Ryan Gosling got nominated for Barbie for Best Supporting Actor, which is interesting because yes, technically is the supporting, but also the co-lead. So it was definitely interesting that they chose that for strategy purposes of like he's definitely lead over Paul Giamatti. So if we throw him in supporting, maybe he's got a chance. Because I think that's what they did with Fences. I think it was with Viola Davis. She clearly was the co-lead in that movie, but let's throw in her supporting because she might win. So, Jay, mini review on Barbie. Have you seen it? And what were your thoughts on it? And what is your opinion on neither Margot Robbie or Greta Gerwig getting a nomination?
Yeah, actually, me and Tato watched that movie, last week?
Yeah, about
week before.
Within
the last 2 weeks, I actually watched the movie. I sat down. I enjoyed the shit out of it. On a scale from 1 to 5 or 0 to 5, depending on what you do, I gave it a 4. The movie made me laugh. It made me emotional. I really kind of felt like Will Ferrell could have not been in it, and I would have been fine. But like I am Knuff. What's his best friend's name? Alan.
I
know I almost forgot his name, but Michael Cera is like, I'm Ken's best friend. I fit his clothes. Great.
He loves giving foot rubs. I do not love that. I do not.
Margot in this movie also phenomenal. She has some great delivery. What is it? I don't control the railroads. I don't control the ways and the means of production. I'm not a fascist.
She thinks I'm a fascist? I control the railway or the flow of commerce.
That's what it is. Fucking perfect. Great lines. This movie's funny. This movie hits almost every beat I needed to hit. Even the really weird, I know some people will be like, oh, why does she float down from the second level? And I'm just like, because the Barbie Dreamhouse didn't have any stairs, so she just floats. I'm like, they're hitting everything I need them to hit for a movie based on a toy.
You can't get mad about her getting out of her shoes with her foot like this, but
no,
floating down. That's how toys work. You know what I mean? Or when they're making the squeaking noises or the rubber noises when they move at times. It's very, very. It's got very good attention to detail.
I really did enjoy the movie. It is a solid 4 for me. Margot Robbie did an amazing job. Don't get me wrong, America Ferrera being in there, I get it, but I felt like her daughter kind of did a better job.
No, the actress character Sasha, she does a really good job.
Character development more than America did, and that's not taking away from America Ferrera whatsoever.
America has the one speech, you know what I mean? The Oscar speech, but also Margot has her own Oscar speech of the I'm not pretty enough, or whatever that bit was. I don't know the exact words.
She's got a couple in there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. If you're going to go with the one speech, like the Mark Ruffalo on Spotlight, the speech and that's why you're giving the nomination. That's fine, but like also do it for Margot, who also leads the movie. Like that's definitely counterintuitive. And I'm not even defending. I'm not in that narrative. Like it's crazy she's not nominated. Like that's how it goes sometimes. But also like if you're going to nominate America, you're also nominating Margot. So as a Latino myself, Sanchez, I think it's weird that America got the nomination. So that's interesting for me. Tato, you just watch it also. What are your opinions on the movie as well as the lack of nomination for Margot?
Yeah, I definitely adored the shit out of the movie from catching it in theaters. I'm pretty sure I hit you up on Facebook after because that's always my post-theater ritual. Drive to the Taco Bell, make my order, hit up Henry. It's a beautiful system. I adored it. Had to show, like, I knew there were parts that would hit Jay, like specifically that flow of commerce one. I like saw it in the theater. I'm like, that's gonna be a line that Jay loves to death and shit. And I was obviously correct on that one. Without having seen the other movies, so to give a fair opinion on it, I thought Greta was getting a nom for sure, and Margot did deserve in my opinion, she was fantastic. Again, without having seen the other ones to be on, like, give the correct opinion and stuff. Yeah, the more surprising to me is probably the Greta, because like the direction of the movie really, like, I could really feel it for being a non-director guy, trivia-wise, and fucking, like, it's not shit that I see as much visually. Like, usually I could very much feel Greta's direction in it, and, like, in a movie that stylized, like, to pull off the story she did, I thought was fantastic. And I will shout out, I did have to Google it, but Ariana Greenblatt is Sasha.
Thank you.
She's little Ahsoka and little Gamora as well. So
shit. Okay.
What did it cost? Everything.
Yep. On my MCU studying.
What did it cost to not give Margot the nomination?
Everything. Son of a bitch. So yeah, I'm a little
killer reference,
the nomination, bro, because I did adore the movie. It's top 5. I haven't re-ranked 2023 recently, and I still have to watch all of these Oscar noms now that they've been put out. That's kind of how I do it with years if I don't catch everything, and I just, because of how the end of last year ended for me and stuff, I really did not catch a lot of those movies that came out at the end of the year. Oppenheimer, or not that Oppenheimer was at the end of the year, it was in the same time as Barbie. I could have very well fucking seen it. Obviously, I saw Barbie, so fuck me on Oppenheimer. But the other shit that came out, the other Oscars that come out at the end of the year when Oscar movies traditionally come out and shit, have not seen or heard much of yet. So
I got a question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah,
all right. So, did she get nommed for both Lady Bird and Little Women?
Greta, I don't think for Lady Bird, but I know because I think she was snubbed for Lady Bird because Saoirse got the nomination for actress.
Okay.
I don't think she got it because I do remember that kind of being a controversy.
Yeah,
but I'm 99% she got it for Little Women.
I was gonna say if like because I know Lady Bird only made like less than $100 million in the box at the box office.
No, she did get nominated for Lady Bird too.
She got nominated for Lady Bird.
That's what it was. She only got screenplay for Little Women. She didn't get director. That's what
okay.
So she's gotten screenplay for all 3. Original for Lady Bird, adapted for Little Women, and honestly, and this gonna sound silly, but I would rather for Greta specifically, I would rather have the writing nominations of the 3 because that's really what she's giving her heart on. Because at the end of the day, the direction you're especially her heart
secret.
No D from Greta on that one. Her heart.
You'll never get the D from Greta, my boy.
I mean, I love House of the Devil. I would. R.I.P. Spoiler. The writing is what she's really giving her soul to those films, whereas the directing is more of a collaborative effort in terms of studio. Like I feel like Warner Brothers and Mattel affected segments and elements of Barbie, which I do. That's why I'm a little in disagreement of what you said, Tato, in terms of like seeing Greta, because as seeing her other films, I feel like it doesn't necessarily stand out in terms of from start to finish. Yeah, that's it. Whereas like my best example is Moonlight back in the day. Without Barry Jenkins directing that movie, that is like a play, boring as shit. Not boring, but like straightforward, monotonous storyline. Whereas the direction of that film makes it in a very immersive film. Whereas Barbie, yes, it's fun and playful and lightful, but I swear to God, if you just took out Greta and added any other director with the same script, any other director, you're essentially getting pretty much the same energy and vibe because the script is what presents that. So that's why I disagreed a little bit. So as long as she got the writing nomination, which I personally think is more important, because they were also doing a whole bit for a while of like, is this adapted? Because is it adapted, or should it have been original, or should it even be one of those weird gray areas where it's not eligible technically? Because what does that even mean? And yeah, there was a conversation for a second of it.
Well, the property is definitely property, like the property being Barbie, the commodity itself, not the actual doll owned by Mattel. Like, should this be an original movie?
Yeah, that was.
I don't know. There are so many animated Barbie movies though. So like that's my only thing.
Yeah, I mean, and she's not adapting any of them, so it's definitely not an adapted screenplay. The screenplay is original.
But she's adapting the storylines of the releases.
That's just like with comic
Barbies.
books. Any comic book movies like Logan, right? That was adapted when it got nominated, right? Yeah, because it's not a direct story, but that's just kind of how it works. As long as it's not original IP, it has to be an original concept in general to be considered.
I mean, Old Man Logan is a comic book storyline.
But just like Barbie,
I'm pretty sure,
but the concept of Barbie is a storyline. You know what I mean? So that's understandable. But the point is, I'm just glad that it got the recognition for the construction of the idea of the Barbie film, and I do feel like that generates from the screenplay versus the direction. And
I think the Barbie coming to life is original enough to where.
Well, that's still picking it still got the nomination for the screenplay, but in terms of the direction,
what are you talking about? Tyra Banks did that back in the day. It was called Coming to Life, my guy. What? Fucking get out of here!
Oh, my son.
Pass. So I agree. Margot should have gotten the nomination, but I am actually in disagreement or / like okay with Greta not getting the nomination. Like if she would have gotten it, I'm not pitchforking the Oscars. Like yeah, sure, but her not getting it, that's not as big of an issue as Margot not getting it. So I am in the votes of Margot should have got, especially based on what I've heard.
It was called Life Size. I'm an asshole.
Yeah, I just kind of let you take that. I tried to not put you in that position.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I don't think no one was gonna fact check you in the comments of like you dumb bitch. I will
fact check myself. I'll be like, you fat motherfucker, you got that wrong. Shut up. Shut up, titties.
So yeah, that's my opinion. So comment below what you guys think of the Barbie movie as a whole, and what is your guys' input on the controversy of the voting. So with that said, the Oscars, just
I do. Yeah, sorry. One more thing on the Barbie. I do like Ken getting the nom. But like the whole letter he wrote was the bit that Gosling wrote was really dope. I thought so. Check that out if you have not.
Wait.
No. I'm like
essentially
Twitter
without them, there's no Ken.
Yeah.
And
that could have been perceived as a cuck move, but that's just a respect of a fellow artist. You know what I mean? Where it's like I'm not saying that
man can't be should have look at his wife, bro.
Facts. The way he went about it too was nice, because it's not like he's saying like, oh my god, I'm boycotting the Oscars because they didn't get it. He's just like, hey, I appreciate the honor I've gotten. I just also think that without them, there is no me.
Hashtag Oscars so balls.
It's a team effort. You know what I mean? Facts.
Him getting the nom without them getting the nom feels kind of like the point of the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like,
but they're not learning the lesson of the movie.
But I will say, if you look in the comments, or like a lot of people like tweeting, it's bring us back to a couple years ago of just all those nerdy cucks of like, oh my god, justice for, like, dude, that's also not the point. Where it's like,
Justice for Tony.
Yeah, give them their recognition because they deserved it, not just because they're a woman and you have no chance to sleep with them. Like, also still have that fine line of like, let's still give the artist their respect as an artist, and not just because of their gender, not just because of how society's judging it at the same time. So I do feel like there needs to be both sides of that coin, where it's like we need to have.
Hey, don't just offer Jamie Lee Curtis the fucking Oscar nomination when there is still a better person to be offered the Oscar in the movie.
Love Everything Everywhere at Once, but Angela Bassett last year getting snubbed, getting beat out by Jamie is wild.
Yeah.
Especially in today's climate, wild.
I don't even think climate really has anything to do with that one.
I'm not saying the results, but it's just an interesting time where it's like, really, that was a bad decision regardless of the year. But
hashtag Oscars still so weird. White 2023.
Will Smith's never getting that Oscar. He got it, but at the time, he was.
Will Smith did his best Kanye West impersonation, and Kanye still did it better. Also, fuck Kanye West.
One other thing that I want to bring up.
So good though.
Yeah, one other thing I want to bring up just for the attention. Hillary Clinton tweeted out about the Barbie
hashtag
thing.
Hillary Barbie, bro.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, literally. Like, now we need to check those emails. Was Barbie involved? Were they
Greta Gerwig writer speeches?
Were they giving out Barbies on the Epstein Island, or like what? Was that their doggy bags? Jesus Christ.
We're not talking about Stephen Hawking right now.
Leave the puddle out of this. So yeah, Hillary. What do you guys think? 2024. Is there going to be an election? Because I am hearing, I literally, until I'm not a politics guy, so I want to start off by saying that. But like, I just randomly, because as a FedEx driver, I just have a lot of times in my mind where my AirPods are charging, and I just kind of have my own sick thoughts I'm thinking of, and just sometimes also space. The rocks are bouncing around in there, and whatever. And I was like, 2024. Is this an election year? Why am I not hearing about that?
And an election
year, and I'm like, why am I not hearing about that? So then I watched a video, and it was a bunch of like conspiracy things, and there's literally a conspiracy right now that like there's going to be no election, that they're just going to like, this could be the first year where they just pretend there's no election. I don't remember the exact how they went about it. Like, is there election talk? Like, am I crazy? Or like, have you heard about election, Jay? Like, is there an election or no? Like, who's running?
There's gonna be an election. Joe Byron is the incumbent for the Democratic Party.
Sorry, I was sleeping. What'd you just say?
Joe Byron is the fucking incumbent. Yeah, Joe Biden is the fucking Sleepy Joe is the fucking incumbent for the Democratic Party. Nobody's really gonna primary against him. Ron DeSantis, the high heel wearer, the hidden high heel wearer himself, backed out and endorsed Donald Trump. Nikki Haley's still going. Chris Christie backed out. Is there going to be an election? Absolutely. Absolutely, there's going to be an election. Will it go the way that I think people want it to go? No, because I hate when elections become the lesser of two evils. Nobody's actually working to fix any problem within the United States of America.
Now it's just favoritism.
Yeah, it's quite literally. They're not hearing about your offers. They're hearing about just how you're saying it. Will this guy keep shit the same, or will it become worse? We saw that it became worse, and this is my own opinion. We saw that it became worse under Donald Trump. Will it get better if we re-elect Donald Trump? Fucking no. The answer is no, my guy, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The reason why he lost the last election is because he overturned Roe versus Wade. He lied, quite literally lied, lost 60 fucking lawsuits. Joe Biden not doing the fucking greatest in certain cases. Say what you will about Israel, say what you will about Palestine and Gaza, but like, no, dude. We need people who aren't fucking 80 years old running this country. Right. We need people who are actually going to be
like
here.
The NFL. This is the new age. This is the new NFL. Can you get with the times, my guy?
Thank you.
Trick plays? Can you run shotgun? Can you Can you run the read option?
Quite literally,
America.
that's a perfect fucking example.
America, dude.
We don't need people who are like, you know, I remember when I was allowed to say racial slurs and black people weren't allowed to sit with me at a fucking diner running the fucking country, because almost every individual who has a fucking hand in making laws in this country is older than
dirt.
They're over 70, and it's a fucking problem. 70-year-olds are out of touch. Ask your 70-year-old
you don't want to go
grandparent.
to the extremes and hire just the hippest kid, because
No.
then it's going to be like, oh, free lunch for everyone type of bullshit. You don't want that, but you definitely need to be smart enough.
You
and be like,
should want that.
Not that's extreme. That's extreme. But
no,
you
should want that, because if you want children to
like
learn,
with Barack, he was the perfect age of that age range where it's like he's not too old, but he's also not too young. He's experienced. He's he's got a level head.
I'm just talking on the subject that you're talking on.
Yeah.
Do you want children to be able to learn to the best of their abilities or not?
Yeah.
Okay, then they need food. Should they be forced to sign up for a school lunch card and then not be able to receive food if their parents aren't able to put money on that lunch card?
They should always have food. So whatever that answer is.
Exactly. They should always have food. It should be one of those things. Looking a child in the eye and saying that you don't deserve lunch because your parents can't afford to give you lunch isn't a thing that should ever be a fucking possibility.
I grew up with the free lunch program too, so I'm
did I.
in support of that.
Yeah.
So did I, but it's being called socialism and fucking woke propaganda at this point in time. Because if parents can't afford to feed their kids, why would they keep them in school?
Is that the issue, or is that the conversation?
It's one of the conversations that's happening around it, because there are so many Pennsylvania, I believe Indiana, and like 3 or 4 other states that are like quite literally right there on the verge of the East and the like Midwest are having conversations about this, where they're like, no, it's not our duty to feed these kids. Their parents need to feed these children. And if they can't afford a school lunch, guess what? They don't get a school lunch. Or if they go into fucking debt over school lunch, guess what? You don't get school lunch. How are you helping raise the next generation of voters if you don't do that?
So my opinion on just that in general is the parents do need to take the responsibility to fill out the paperwork and go through the process to get their child covered. Just like with anything, if you're going through any type of assistance in anything, regardless of situation, no judgment on the situation. But if you're going to be awarded that opportunity, you do need to be put through some sort of test to like make sure, hey, because otherwise, how else do you weed out just the bad eggs? You need to figure out a way to like, hey, let's earn this. So the parents like, hey, because then also if the parents aren't willing to do that, then DCS needs to get into be like, hey, now the parents not even putting forth the effort. If they're not putting the food in their pockets or in their bellies, but they're also not even trying to like put forth the effort to get the assistance, then there's an issue on that. There's a bigger issue. So I do feel like there needs to be
but you get knocked, and there are so many issues, and this is not where I think that we wanted this one to go, but there are so many issues within, like, you can bring the DCS in, you can bring the DSHS in, but there are so many red states out there that are trying to hinder families from being able to get government assistance to make sure that their families are fed, because they are underpaid and overworked.
Just in this conversation, there's a difference in like school lunch, because that's just a subsidized concept of like, hey, one time during the day or twice if you're counting breakfast. I don't know if breakfast counts, but like whatever, once or twice a day at most, versus a 400, 500 a month card for food stamps type of deal, or any of that's assistance. So I do feel like there's a difference in that, because a $5 lunch 5 times a week, that's 25 times 4, that's $100 a month versus $500 a month. So I do feel like monetarily there is a difference in terms of the scrutiny of like, hey, we need to be stricter on this. So
you're also looking at it from a place of privilege where you have that extra income.
No, what I'm saying just in the judgment of like even in theory, if everyone's eligible, be like, hey, everyone's eligible for this program, but you need to put forth the effort, and then in the effort, now we can figure out who is eligible in terms of monetarily, and then also who's actually trying. So I just feel like there needs to be some sort of paperwork that you fill out. Just like in
What's the
general.
definition of trying?
Just going through the process.
No, because that's
sign up for the program. Like, you know what I mean? That's it.
But
It's
if you
it's
can't
not like boot camp. I'm
into
not
the
saying boot
program,
camp.
but if you can't make it into the program, this is my issue when politicians say certain things like the way that you're saying it. Oh, well, people aren't putting forth the effort. People are putting forth the effort. They're just not able to do it because of the hurdles that are put in front of them by people who are over the age of fucking 70 when a house costs $12,000 to buy, a car costs $3,500 to buy, and they're like, well, you're just not trying hard enough. Shit costs more. Quite literally, shit costs more. And it's harder for people nowadays than it has been for anybody else in history in the United States of America to even break even.
No, I agree with that. Right now I'm making the most money I've ever made my entire life, and I'm living paycheck to paycheck struggling, and I make a lot of money because of just the debt that I've been put in based on the last couple of years. So it's like, whether it's my self-inflicted or whatever, it's not the point. But the point is, in terms of I
don't want you to think I'm yelling at you, because I'm not yelling at you.
No, absolutely. That's the whole point of it. We're having conversation. Yeah. You're never going to offend me, motherfucker.
I yelled at Henry and now he's mad at me.
You're never going to offend me. We can go back and forth. No, we are taking it back to the days where we can have several conversations that we might not agree.
I'll be in the call in a minute, you fucking asshole. Quite literally a message I sent to this group chat 2 fucking days ago.
I can't even read.
But no, like that's my thing. If you have politicians that are fighting against giving children the basic nutrition that they need in a state, you shouldn't be a politician.
So hold on, I'll also add on to what you're just saying. In prison, you're allotted 3 meals a day. So in school, why are you not automatically guaranteed? Why are prisoners guaranteed 3 meals a day, but children in school are not guaranteed at least 1 meal a day? So I will agree with you on that.
Okay, so hear me out. School is technically, depending on where you are, I don't mean for that to be that thing, but school is technically one of those things where it's not a mandatory thing. If you're in jail, it's a mandatory thing. And if you are in somebody else's custody, which will loop back, if you are in somebody else's custody, they are required to take care of you. If children are required to be in school for 8 hours a day, from the hours of 7 to 3 o'clock in the fucking afternoon, you should be required to give them at least 1 meal.
That's just like work. If you work 8 hours a day, you forced 15-minute, 30-minute break. Like
30-minute break.
Yeah.
If you work more than 10 hours a day, it's an hour, depending on what state you live in. But yeah, no, if you are in the custody of somebody who is not a caregiver of you, you are required to offer certain things.
Exactly.
And for politicians to be like, well, I don't think we should do this, because there are so many people who are on food stamps and yada 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 and so and such and this that
and that's why that's kind of the point I made earlier, where it's like I feel like that's different from food stamps, because I just, once again, what you were just saying with the school thing, it's more of the custody thing. It's a requirement. You're building the foundation, where the food stamps, in theory, not judgmental, but just from the eyesight of people, that's a different sub block of society. Whereas in theory, everyone in school is on the equal level, ground level, square one. We're working school. You know what I mean? So there's no bullshit.
Airline pilots are on food stamps.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is.
They work for multi-billion-dollar corporations, and they're not.
So do people at Walmart. They work for multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah, but
that technically doesn't mean anything.
You don't have to go to school to work at Walmart. You have to go to school to be a pilot. You can't just walk onto the fucking. You can't just walk into your local airport and be like, I can fly that bitch.
I mean, that's been the conversation for years. People with college degrees don't even fucking, you know what I mean? They don't even, who cares? But more people are calling college a scam nowadays than for the longest, because they've realized, like,
because we got sold a lie.
Yeah, it has its benefits, don't get me wrong, but it's not as shiny as
we as like millennials, Gen Z, and even some of the Gen X have been sold a lie and saying, hey, it's not necessarily forego a trade school, but go to college, get a degree in business, get a degree in management. As long as, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think that liberal arts degrees aren't as necessary, because once you lose the arts, you kind of lose humanity. My issue is you can't expect people who go to college for 4 years, get a bachelor's degree minimum, to get online, to sign up for a job, to apply for a job, and then be offered minimum wage. Companies and corporate greed are the biggest fucking issue that we have to deal with right now, because they're more than willing to pay you a fucking slave wage for you doing 2 to 3 times the amount of work that you should be being paid for.
with
They
2 to 3
have
times the education. And
I have 3 college degrees, dog. I'm making $17 an hour right now.
yeah, I actually, one of my bosses, he used to work on airplane engines or something like that, and it got to a point where now he's my manager at FedEx, and
I'm thinking of going back to bartending because I made fucking double the amount of money that I'm making right now.
Yeah. Like I said, right now, this is the most money I've ever made in my entire life, and I'm making good money. I'm no complaints with how I'm making now, but based on my debt, I'm considering getting a second job because, like, I just need to get ahead. And it's like, I actually want to see that money. I want to see the money that's going into my account and going immediately out of my account. And it's one of those things where it's like, so I'll never judge people with their financial decisions.
Also, credit cards are a scam. Don't get one. Fucking credit scores are a scam. They're only fucking 35 years old.
Credit cards, they are yeeted out. I'm fucking. COVID really fucked me with all my credit cards.
What Carlin say? What'd Carlin say? You buy shit to impress people you don't like with shit you don't need.
Yep.
That's essentially what?
So that was from Fight Club.
Well, that too.
No, it's a similar line that, like, Carlin and fucking Fight Club both have and shit. Like, it's.
But it gives a privilege.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail it on fucking privilege and this whole topic.
That's the whole point of the podcast. It's like I said, there's no point of this other than we're just talking. But Tato, what are your thoughts on just I want to get into kind of geography in terms of, because we all live on 3 different spectrum of the United States. You know, I mean, obviously me and Tato are a little bit closer, but generally
you guys are all in roughly the Midwest.
But we're all a little bit different. So Tato, what if you had to guess, obviously, because I know you just don't have the economic numbers right there, but if you had to guess, what would you think is the average salary for a okay household, like, just combined, obviously single, not single, whatever, but like for someone in your area to, like, live off of and be comfortable, what do you think is, like, the bare minimum that you think you need to make in your area yearly?
I don't know, and I'm like a pretty cheap living cat in general. So, like, my experience, your mileage may vary, as the kids say. But fucking, without going into exact details, fucking, like, rent on this place is $700. It's a 2-bedroom. Fucking, I'm making $14.50 an hour. I'm only working I'm working like 14 hours a week, which is fine for me. Like, being like, I haven't worked since August and shit. Getting back on my feet, I am doing fine.
Congrats on that.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Facts. Yeah. But I also have a fantastic support system right now and shit. So, like, I would not be able to work as little as I do without.
Shout out to the Tato.
Facts.
Facts. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your line, baby.
No, you're absolutely correct. Fucking, I appreciate it. She will very much appreciate it. Fucking. So, and with all that math, fucking 700, you want to be like, and then there's also fucking utilities and fucking life living, obviously, fucking goods, fucking that.
We'll just round that up to a comfortable 1,500. Fair in terms of total bills. So 1,500 a month times 12. I guess we'll just do the math real quick. What is that? So Of course, I was locked under my screen. So
$18,000 roughly.
Okay, so now we'll just double that in terms of the average. Like I said,
36.
Yeah.
So I have the numbers for people in our age range. For people in our age range, from ages 25 to 34, the average as of Q3 in 2023, is $54,080.
Okay,
that is the average.
And is that US? Is that just US?
That's just US. That's just US. That is the average income of an individual within our age bracket.
What's the age bracket again?
25 to 34.
Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense in terms of average because you're averaging the people that they're definitely graduated from college at that point, if they went to college, obviously, and they're definitely well into their trade if they're in a trade. So that inflates the average a little bit. So I would
probably like athletes, like are athletes in there too, fucking like celebrities and shit.
So, and that's the thing that skews averages.
Yeah.
That's the thing that skews a lot of numbers when people are talking about it. People who make multi-million-dollar a year
with, like,
deals,
Pat Mahomes contract throwing off that number and shit.
All right, so
it's
let's just be realistic. Let's just take 10,000 off that. So what'd you say, 54?
$44,000 a year.
So we'll go to 44, and that's average. We'll not even say average. We'll just say best case scenario. If you can make 44 grand a year, you are comfortable. You're not living large, but you're comfortable. You have at least a room plus more, and all that stuff for yourself.
Call it 48. That's $2,000 a month.
Yeah. You can pay. You can have a car, you can have a home, and you can have food on your table. Which at the end of the day are your three.
Here's my thing. What is the average? What is I don't have that one pulled up right now. I don't have this number pulled up, so maybe somebody else can pull it up. Jamie, pull that shit up. What is the average base pay essentially of the United States of America? What is the average
regardless of age?
The average minimum wage in the United States of America?
Minimum wage or just
minimum wage? What is the average minimum wage in the United States?
I'd throw out a guess like $10.50.
I still
think the South is pretty.
I still think it's $8.95. I think it's below
probably
9.
Yeah. The South might be fucking my brain up because like Minnesota is pretty fucking decent about it, at least. I think I could be talking.
I'll tell you this right now.
I don't believe that this number is updated yet because of a lot of the 15s and stuff, but it's still saying 725.
That is the average. That is the lowest that you can pay. Yeah, that is the minimum wage, and it has been since 2008 when it got raised, I do believe.
What was it, $6 before that? I think it was something like that?
$5.25. I do believe.
Wow.
Yeah. $17 an hour yearly average salary. The yearly average salary of somebody who makes $17 an hour. Your earnings are $35,360.
And that's a. So I said 44, and I didn't even say that was average. I think that was like the high end. So yeah, what was that? So we'll just say 30,000 is probably more than likely the average person you meet on the street. That's probably what they're making individually because families they combine their households. So 30,000 to 35,000 is more than likely you're going to meet someone that's either at that range or probably below it. If we're being
and they're probably still struggling.
Exactly. Now. Taking debt out of it in terms of like credit card debt and like situation you put it like me with my situation.
That shouldn't exist.
It should. Well, I mean, make decisions. Whether, I won't judge because all my debt, I made those decisions. I admit that. I put myself in my hole that I'm in. You know what I mean? So I
got burnt at 2, bro. I have fucking $14 million worth of quite literally. I have $14 million worth of fucking back money that I owe due to my surgeries. When I got burnt as a 2-year-old and I could not continue to work and focus as a human being. So essentially, I'm in debt for the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah, that's a shitty loophole, or not
loophole,
just a kind of whatever that. Yeah.
But let's talk about the people who take college loans.
And we're lucky Jay doesn't love Saul like Henry.
No, trust me. Every time I watch The Joker, I just like fucking man. I just want to.
That's snap. Right, Murray.
I just want to snap. That's that.
Like, no, like, but
Life.
my last surgery that I got more than a decade ago added $1.1 million in debt to my medical debt. And it was to make sure that I was able to actually use both of my hands, whether it was to jerk off animatronic seals, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm able to use both of my fucking hands, I'm making money for somebody.
Wait, but how much do you think the jizz mopper makes nowadays?
Not enough.
This is offensive. You say that first.
I find this fucking quite offensive.
You finally offended me.
Comment below if you guys know what we're quoting there.
But you better be buying Windex and some fucking brawny fucking napkins.
I'm so pissed I got that question wrong. Realistically speaking, what are you guys' thoughts on just the concept of health insurance and all that stuff in the US?
Health insurance is a fucking scam, dude.
So do you think health insurance for Americans should be like school lunches, where it's just...
I don't think that health insurance companies should be allowed to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to be like, no, the bills that people are trying to pass aren't fair because it means that we're going to make less money, but it means that more Americans are going to die, because that's quite literally what a lot of insurance companies are doing. They're like, our bottom line is going to suffer if you make us take care of people more. Before Obama, like right around the time that Obamacare came out, having a wrist was considered a fucking precondition. Like, if you broke your wrist, oh, that sucks, man. You had a wrist before this came into effect. There's nothing we can do about this. Insurance companies will charge you $750 for 2 Tylenol 700s. You can go to the fucking store and buy Tylenol for $15
and just take 4 of them. That's what I do. Yeah, there's my 800s.
Exactly. But like, insurance companies are a giant fucking scam, and I expect to get fucking...
Just keep moving. They can't triangulate you.
Yeah.
Jay,
motherfucker.
Jay, I love that shirt. That red dot specifically right at your heart. That's
which one? The fuck? Ah! But no, like, insurance companies have had far too much say.
I mean, isn't that the whole thing with big pharma and all that thing, where it's like, if they're not pumping out, all these processed foods, chemicals, and all that stuff, then they're not making money selling the drugs. So, I mean, that's always going to be the never-ending cycle with the health, conversation.
Okay, so this really raises the question: do you remember Martin Shkreli? He was like the quote unquote original pharma bro.
Okay.
He's the cat who like ultimately ended up taking over a company, and as the CEO raised the price of a fucking drug by like, I might be exaggerating the amount, but like 17,000%. I believe it was 1,700%, and it was like an AIDS drug. It was a drug designed to save people's lives. But he took over this company, and then he just started jacking up the prices to create himself a profit. Why are people allowed to do this? Look, I get it. The United States is fat. As a fat man myself, I'm lucky to not have diabetes. I don't have diabetes. I'm not even pre-diabetic. But it should not cost somebody $500 a month in insulin charges. Like, this is like, if you want to continue this trend, you want to be able to have people who are here, who are voting. And I'm not even getting into this whole Republicans want to keep people dumb thing, but all of these politicians, yeah. Hey, I know what the plans crave. But like, no, it comes down to the fact that like, we have people who work for companies that do nothing but create drugs that save people's lives, and then let them retire from that job and then go and lobby Congress and the Senate and be like, there's a reason why people shouldn't be able to just get this for free, and we should be able to charge whatever the fuck we want for this. No. Like, do you want a voter base? Do you want to keep people alive?
I think the cockiness of just, you know, the US as a whole is like, we're never going to stop populating. So there's always going to be people. So like we can kill them
On
off
a downtrend.
and they're still going. Yeah, but there it's not, but that percentage is still not going to affect in the overall numbers. It's going to affect numbers, but not overall enough to like affect their pockets. You know what I mean? They're still going to be making enough based on the numbers that are getting pumped out. So that's then that's the cost effect of like their situation of like, yeah, we're gonna lose some, but we're also gonna gain, if not
The
more,
US
just as much.
the US birth rate dropped by 23% between the years of 2007 and 2022. So like, yes, there was a little bit of a pop during COVID, which helped bring it up. But if you're declining, and again,
2007, right when the recession, or right before the recession, wasn't that the recession 2008?
It was right before this, or right at the beginning of the recession, the first recession.
So do you think that there's any correlation there where it's like people like less money, so people are confidently making less people? Do you think there's a correlation there, or do you think that's just a coincidence?
I don't like correlate. So hear me out here. I don't like correlating whether or not people aren't fucking based on how well the market is doing. Because guess what? Humans like to fuck, bro. My thing about it is more people want to be able to bring a child into a fucking world where they're actually able to raise them, and there's a parent in the household. And we aren't able. A lot of people are not able to provide that at this point in time. There are so many homeless people, and fucking politicians will never do anything about homeless people. The reason why politicians will never do anything about homeless people is because they'll promise to do something about homeless people, but as soon as they fucking do that fixes the homelessness problem, they don't have a fucking talking point anymore, which means that they aren't able to be like, oh, well, you know, I fixed this and it's gone.
I want to go on a quick tangent. What are your guys' thoughts on YouTubers that film helping the homeless? Do you think?
I don't like it.
Tato, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't like.
And isn't that an unfortunate double-edged sword where it's like they're doing it regardless of the game?
They're just doing it for views.
No, I get that, but they're still doing it. I'm not advocating for it, but that's what I'm saying. It's a double-edged sword where it's like it's unfortunate because they are still doing it. There are still technically doing good, but also for evil underlying reasons, and it's just like, or not even evil, but just selfish.
Ultimately, I would rather that be getting done than not getting done at all.
Exactly, technically.
In the grand scheme of things, fucking food in the belly, but like. There's no need to do that.
No, absolutely. So. There's I mean, just 99% of the people who are, you know, on TV or in the public eye, they're doing certain things for that. You know what I mean? It's, you know, whatever, you know, whether just to look good, make themselves feel good, make themselves feel relevant, important, whatever. So it's unfortunate that, but it's also one of those things where it's like they are still doing it. So it's like, that's one of the few slippery slopes. You're like, oh my god, why do you have to show that? But also, like, yeah,
it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, and it's
like, and I don't even mean to call it like a necessary evil, but like these people could continuously do the exact same thing. There are several TikTokers that I follow who do the exact same thing. Like they'll walk into a Canadian-based restaurant, and order enough to feed 35, 40 homeless people, pay for it, give the people who work in the restaurant a generous tip.
Small business, or you like local?
Yeah.
That's good too. That's also
absolutely. But they're filming the entire thing, and then they go back there and they kind of help like make the food, which is great. I'm not saying that that's performative, but there's a production cost for the TikTok that you're making.
Yeah.
Could you not therefore feed more people without that cost, and then just have like a random person be like, there's this weirdo giving out food, and then get like, I know I understand the difficulties behind it, because if you don't do something like this, you don't gain a following in order to be able to continue to do the thing.
Now
And that sucks.
I have a does a bear shit in the woods question. Do you think that the people filming these things are spreading the word to get more other people to film it, or do you think that people were doing it anyway to have change? We just didn't see it because it wasn't being filmed. Does a bear shit in the woods if no one sees it? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that it's one of those things where it's like, what came first, chicken or the egg? Are we getting all this help because of social media, whether for selfish reasons or not, or were they doing it anyway and we just weren't seeing it?
We haven't answered that question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The egg came first, and it gave birth to a chicken from another creature that wasn't.
Yeah, God was walking, and he was dropping eggs through his pants like.
Anyways, no, my thought process behind it is I hope that when people see this and there are thousands of comments and people who are flooding like GoFundMe's or Kickstarters or whatever it is to help the people that they feel emotionally connected to, I hope that inspires other people,
even if it's $1, dude. Inspiration.
Exactly. But does that mean that it's going to inspire somebody else to do that? Not necessarily. The hope is absolutely.
But if we're being honest, the people that are going to do it are going to do it anyway, not because they're being told. That's just who they are.
Exactly.
In nature. Whether the spark is because of social media and fame, that's the ugly truth of what we're really talking about. But like inherently who they are is probably who they are.
Speaking of influencers, you know who's a really good like kind of topic on this one? I don't know if y'all follow him. I follow him. I love the cat. Two-Turnt Tony.
Yeah.
He loves his duck. He loves his parents. He loves his fucking family. And he just does everything he can for fucking animals. He films it. But the way, like, if you watch all of his, it does. Because if you watch from like when he started his channel with his family, the only thing that's changed is he's gotten money and he doesn't just help.
He's like the new Bam Margera type of guy.
Kind of, with the exception
of the animals versus the humans thing helps a lot too, because fucking it's not like animals can consent, or the animals aren't in a situation where they feel they have to consent to showing themselves to get a meal.
Yeah.
So that like helps make the situation different. So shout out that guy.
I mean,
shout out to Turn Tony.
Yeah, shout
out Nani.
Yeah, like whenever I see any like animal videos of like rescues and like rehabilitation or all that stuff, yeah, you don't have to film that stuff, but it just inspires. It just gives inspiration to like, so whenever I see a dog, so I live in Gary, Indiana, so it's like I see random dogs all the time. I will literally park my car and I don't want to say chase, but like try and get them and check just to see, because like if Jax was out and about, I'd freak out. You know what I mean? So I randomly on Facebook back when it was my dad, I just had a memory. It was like it was like 2 a.m. and I saw a husky and I was chasing. I got to a point where I found it, found its owners, all that stuff. I mean, I spent hours, trying to track that dog down. You know what I mean? So it's like I've done that multiple times in my life. Obviously, I'm not filming it, but those are things that I do. You know what I mean? And it's like people don't see that, but also people, if I didn't post that on Facebook to get the pat on the back. I just post that to just remind myself who I am. You know what I mean? And the things that I'm capable of. So I do see the documentation aspect of it. You just got to hope that it's for that versus only for the selfish gains of, super chats and Patreon.
Is this because you're a good person, or are you doing this because you're a content creator?
Yeah. Are you trying to be? Are you a good person, or are you trying to look like one? And it's that's the $1 million question at the end of the day with anyone in society. You know what I mean?
Speaking of good people trying to bad people trying to look like a good person, Epstein Island. No, I'm kidding, but
Stephen Hawking could never look good.
You know what? I love the fact that like the whole thing that came out about him was he wanted little people to do abject mathematical fucking equations on a whiteboard that was just a little too high for him. I like fucking congratulations, my guy. Let's go.
Without getting into full Epstein stuff, did you guys see the beef between Jimmy Kimmel and Aaron Rodgers and their situation?
And the fact that fucking the NFL was like, "Hey, Aaron, shut the fuck up."
It was and wasn't that. It was one of those things where it's, hey, you technically have the right to say whatever you want, but also like we prefer you not. So like the whole thing of like, oh, he got canceled from Pat McAfee. It's like, no, he's off on the offseason. That's just how time. It just happened to be. That's just how time went. So I love how Pat brought him back on the very next week and was like, oh, hey, I just wanted you on for 10 minutes just to prove a point. Like, no, they didn't shut shit down, bitch. But
no, that's quite literally like after that bring back, that's when the NFL brought the hammer down.
Just once again, at that point, that was just them showing their dick. That was like, hey, whatever. At the end of the day, it's not changing nothing. Next season is going to be the exact same, and they're still going to be themselves because this exact conversation isn't going to come up.
It's not like he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Jets next season. So,
but the whole point is, what are your guys' thoughts on just the concept of freedom of speech in comedy, of joking back and forth and making a joke? Not even a joke, but like what he said, everything with the Epstein, with the Kimmel stuff, where it's like he made a thing very vaguely, and he worded it, consciously of like no accusations, but like it's implied the joke / the knock on what I'm going up. What are your thoughts on like, is that off? Is that over the line? Or is that one of those things where it's like, hey, you started it. I'm going to come back and nothing's off the table. Tato, what do you think?
Okay, so I haven't seen the thing. So what exactly happened?
So
what's the full back and forth?
So Jimmy Kimmel started by making a joke about Aaron Rodgers of like being bad at football. Well, I don't remember the exact thing, but he said something about an okay football player making bad political points or something along those lines. And then Aaron Rodgers clapped back and he was like, I don't know why he's talking anything, got this Epstein list. You better hope he's not on it type of deal or something along those lines. Where
there's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, who's really hoping that list doesn't come out.
Exactly. Yeah. And once again,
was his quote.
Yeah. And that's an implied thing. It was like, hey, I'm saying something, but also like nothing directly. You know what I mean? It's more of an empty threat type of knock. You know what I mean? And then Jimmy Kimmel came back and played the whole defense card of like, oh my God, my kids are getting threats, blah, blah, which if that's true, that does suck, but also like those people are gross no matter what. Because Aaron Rodgers,
that's not on Aaron.
Yeah, so it's like that just
it is on Aaron. Floodgates. Hold on, no, that is on Aaron. Let's not give him the fucking pass because we wouldn't give Herschel Walker the fucking pass. We didn't give Herschel Walker the pass when he was doing this 3 fucking years ago. Don't give Aaron Rodgers the pass. Aaron Rodgers knows exactly the fucking fan base that he is talking about, and they are always the fucking crazy individuals. They are the ones who go after other people. Don't sit here and be like, oh, well, no, it's not on Aaron Rodgers. No, Aaron Rodgers knew exactly what he was fucking doing. He just didn't like getting fucking called out. His joke was bad. He got silenced by 2 different fucking people. Not Pat McAfee, but he got silenced by the NFL, and ESPN doesn't want a fucking thing to do with him right now. Let's not sit here and be like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers was just being fucking flippant and being facetious. Aaron Rodgers knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing when he lied about being vaccinated so he could still play in the NFL. Honestly, at this point in time, I have more respect for fucking Kirk Cousins, who was a fucking anti-vaxxer, who was like, I'm not going to get it. Aaron Rodgers lied about it. Aaron Rodgers, kind of a giant piece of shit, in my fucking opinion.
I'll always
you love him because he's the fucking Jets starting quarterback in 2027, my guy. Calm down.
Jordan Love, 2035. Ready for you, Bobby.
Yeah.
All those types of things, it's a business move, just like all the people that got it for the same business. He lied to say he got it for business aspects. Money's on the table. You make a risk, like people lie on their taxes. Like I don't care about that shit. All that stuff is inconsequential in terms of reality.
I think lying about your taxes and lying about whether or not you can transmit a disease to somebody else are 2 completely different things.
If it's AIDS, it's not. But yes, if it's
it is still.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, like the fucking whole immunization, vaccination, fucking bullshit. I don't think he ever directly said, I am vaccinated while he was not vaccinated. I don't believe that is what happened.
He had a fucking passport made, quote unquote passport made, where he said that he had gotten vaccinated.
You know what I mean? It's like,
essentially, I can do what I want because I'm Aaron fucking Rodgers.
and he won MVP. So I mean, hey, it is what it is. Let's go, baby.
Fucking. All right. So that aside, fucking. Was there anything else to the end of the fucking thing?
No, that and then
it was
just
just
Aaron
Kimmel.
Rodgers just doubled down of kind of essentially repeating himself. He's like, hey, he clapped at me, I clapped back. I never accused him of doing this. I just made I don't remember the exact phrase he said, but essentially a claim of like, hey, a theoretical hope no one else, just like anyone else, hope no one else wants this. Where it's like, I don't want this to come out. Never made a claim. If anyone else had, their opinions on what I said, their own way, however they interpret, that is what it is. But like what I said specifically is not a direct accusation of him being a pedophile, because he's like, I take that seriously. People coming at his kids and all that stuff. I wish that never happened. And he was like, and formally regrettable about that. But he still doubled down.
He said,
but he still doubled. That's what I'm saying. He still doubled down on the fact. He's like, I still clap back, but it was also taking out of context in certain things at the same time and exaggerated in terms of full accusation. So, which that's what media does, and that's what people do, and that's just how Chinese telephone. I don't even know if that's the appropriate way to phrase it. If that game is appropriate anymore, but telephone, you know what I mean? But that concept where it's like at the end of the day, he said, she said. So he just reiterated exactly what he said, and after seeing it, he reiterated exactly what he said, and then at that point, it's interpreted however it's going to be interpreted.
Tato, Aaron Rodgers smashed Sarah Silverman. Yeah. All right.
Wait, what?
So did Aaron Rodgers
I thought that
was Sarah Silverman?
Yeah, she's fucking Ben Affleck. Aaron is fucking Ben Affleck.
He is white.
Sorry, JPO. Any which way, fucking on the whole topic. Now that I have the story and shit, there is a reasonable gray area to be discussed.
Because remember, I just want to remind the whole point of why I brought it up is so the comedy. It all started off with terrible jokes on both sides. So at the end of the day, two terrible jokes got blown out of proportion on both sides, and it turned into a political bullshit. So that's kind of my point. So what are your thoughts on, is that completely off limits, or at the end of the day, comedy is comedy, and however you interpret it?
Yes, you are entitled, you are entitled to say whatever the fuck you want. I will never be on the side against free speech and shit. There is X amount of responsibility you have when you are a celebrity, a figure and stuff. It is easier for us to say things and get away with them than an Aaron Rodgers or a Herschel Walker or a fucking any figure on any side of any issue. Not just to fucking be fair about it and shit, not to be all fucking hippy dippy. But yeah, say what you want, but there are going to be X consequences if you say Y words. And then you have to fucking face those consequences.
It's always the court of public opinion. You may not get actually, punished, but
yes,
public opinion, like you can get endorsements and sponsors taken away because they're afraid. That's still consequences. Yeah.
People call that getting canceled.
Yeah. Getting canceled is not necessarily losing work. Getting canceled is losing money, losing attention.
Not having work means
getting a sponsor is technically not work. So I'm just saying in terms of they're getting jobs and sponsors, it's income, but that's not actual work. Or
what is income if not money?
In the traditional sense, it's not your sole. Sponsors are never going to be sole income. That's what I mean. Or rare.
Oh, that's a fucking LeBron James, dude. What are you talking about?
He's a basketball player. That's not his sole income. Eventually, it might become.
He signed $1 billion contract.
But it's not his. But the whole point is now you're getting into semantics. It's not his sole income. That's what I'm saying. Anyone who has sponsors also has a job.
Or started off with one, hypothetically.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, MJ at this point is exclusively shoe money.
So it's sponsors. It's always.
And Fruit of the Loom.
It's always a point. Yeah. So anyway, so what is your overall last thoughts on that, Tato. We would kind of cut you off.
Oh yeah, sorry. Fucking yeah. Say what you want. If you say some shit, people can again. Then that is on them to react how they want. They can say what they want back to you. And if their words to you are, "I'm not going to engage with you financially anymore," then that's on you. It's just fucking. If you say things that your employer does not like you saying in X context, sometimes like. And again, to like legalities and degrees of that and shit, fucking
Slander.
people can't just like fire you for fucking like having opinions and shit like that. Like obviously, fucking I can't be fired because I'm a Bears fan. Like that's too like to that extreme.
Should be fired
like,
because you're a Bears fan.
Yes. But like fucking. So obviously, at that level, you cannot. Say whatever you want to say to someone for what they feel, but there is a level, I guess, at which you can say that. And again, so there is a gray area ultimately. Like, if I have to make an example that ridiculous to point out that there is a gray area, there is one and shit.
Yeah. And the whole reason I brought up the thing is it just reminds me of just like the world we're living in today, where it's like people are so one side or the other. I kind of wanted to essentially get to the whole point. The end goal was the gray area, where it's like everything's gonna have a gray area, guys. Like, let's not act like 99% of anything anyone ever says is just 100% right. It never. Yeah. It's just everyone's gonna have their opinion. Everyone's gonna have their own way that they side. Everyone's gonna have their own team. Everyone's gonna have their own backing. Everyone's gonna have their own personal sways of opinions. No one ever is 100% here from day one. Well, technically not no one. There are stubborn ass motherfuckers, but the majority of people have varying opinions on things, you know what I mean? And they change their mind. That's why we're human beings. We have our own free will because we can be swayed. We can go through experience. So the gray area just kind of is something that I kind of want to bring back just in the world. It's not.
I'll throw in one tie-in kind of that encompasses a lot of what we talked about, and it's a Kevin Smith thing. And I don't want to be like too fucking white knighty or seem like I'm hippie in and up here, but like just in all things, you do not need to knock something to raise something else up.
Yeah.
So with the whole snub conversation and the Oscars, like we don't have to shit on the things that did get nommed in order to be like, hey man, Barbie deserves its props. And then we do not need to shit on other struggling people to dictate who is struggling more, who is more worthy of help and assistance and shit like that. And getting kids the help they need. Because if kids just have shitty parents, man, that's not on the kids. Fucking some like with filling out the forms and assistance, like some parents just suck. And then, like you said, maybe more people need to get involved in shit. But like all in all, I just want to help people. Like, it's just, it seems simple enough to me. Can we put resources towards like, and I don't have the answers, obviously. Fucking I'm
I mean,
a fucking idiot.
what are we as a society, community? Like we're lacking community a lot of times with a lot of these things. It's all for one, one for all type of deal. It's not, there's not enough team, there's not enough, effort, there's not enough collaboration. Everyone's trying to be, like you said, stepping stones. They're trying to, get their way to the top, and they don't care who they step on and who they jump ahead of. And yeah, we definitely need more of that. So I 100% agree. I mean, that was what one of my main beefs with the movie trivia community that we're a part of, is just hardly people are willing to shout out other leagues and other groups, because they just, for some reason, feel that their 30 views are going to be they're not going to get their 30 views if they plug another person's entity. And it's like, what? Like, it's all the same people anyway. Who care? You know what I mean? It's just like, and that's that. So that's why I'll always I know Jay hates when I bring up Joe Rogan, but that's the one thing that I'll always give Joe Rogan credit for. He promotes even the smaller people. He's never acting like he's the biggest dick in the room. He's promoting people's, concepts, their IPs.
He's absurdly good for young comedians and shit.
Exactly.
He's like, it was just said on Kill Tony, he is like the modern Rodney Dangerfield of raising up young comedians and shit.
Exactly. And it's
what young comedian has he had on?
never too big for his britches. So we're not going to get in that. We're at the end of our show. We'll shit on Joe Rogan next episode. We can start to use that.
No, that's a great question to think about. What young comedian has Joe Rogan had on? Also, real quick,
I don't necessarily mean on the podcast. I mean like in his club and promoting them at the Comedy Store from when the Comedy Store was like the thing back in the early 2000s and shit before he left the store. And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and now I was just saying, like, it's continuing.
Yeah. My other thing is, you're asking a question about censorship, and we just had a conversation about the Club Shay Shay podcast a week and a half ago. Kat, I think, had that one right, and I said it then, and I'll say it again. It's not that you're gonna get canceled for what you're saying; it's that there's a different way to say it. If you're a fucking orator, you know what? Aaron Rodgers isn't a fucking orator. Jimmy Kimmel, yes. Is there consequences to the shit that you say? And should there be? Absolutely. But should the shit you say lead to children getting death threats on either side of a fucking political alley? Absolutely not. He knew what he was doing when he said it. But yes, there are certain ways to say things, even if they're things that you agree with or don't agree with, that aren't going to get a certain sect of people riled the fuck up.
And I agree with that. And I do, I'll finish off by saying I do think that at that point he realized that, hey, this was just unnecessarily drama. Let's just leave it at that. But I'm also still Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to stand on ground. And as a person who has my ego that I have, I'm still going to stick up for myself. So I'll support that. But I do wish that at the end of the day, it just never happened. So I feel like, it's something that no one's going to remember, tomorrow. Like, if I didn't bring it up, no one's really talking about it anymore. I mean, it's just an old topic, but we just hadn't discussed it. So the whole point is yes and no, where it's like, yeah, never let it happen, but also no, hopefully it doesn't happen again type of deal. You know what I mean? Like forgive and forget, but also let's not give too many chances. Like, let's just not let it keep happening. So I think it can just be,
forget, but don't forgive. Absolutely.
That's fair. And then that's the right to the opinion of like, you don't have to forgive, but also just move on. Because it's at the end of the day, they are still just words. Even the death threats, as unfortunate and as you never want that to happen, they are still just words at that point. That's the whole point of a threat. It's
none of those words would have existed without Aaron Rodgers going and saying
exactly. And that's why I respect the not forgiving part. I'm okay with that. So that's the opinion of people and the decisions they make. And so I will always support that. So with that said,
I'm not gonna shit on Aaron inherently for it, because I've also said words that have led to shitty things being done to people.
Exactly. No one's perfect. It's just unfortunate he's just on the biggest sports podcast at the time. That's just bad timing, bad placement. And everyone says bad things. He just happened to have the biggest spotlight on him. So once again, not defending what he said, just defending that shit gets said, shit happens. So, second chances, 3 strikes, however you want to go about it. I'm not that's not going to just, Aaron Rodgers canceled. Aaron Rodgers, the end, he's done with me type of deal. And once again, that's why I think ESPN is going to be like, he makes us too much money. We're not just going to let the one dumb thing he said end it. So I do agree. The ESPN, I do think, hey, chill out. Let's prefer you not do that at all. Let's just keep it to sports. It was fun for a while. It did go overboard. We're still allowing you to freely speak, but we would recommend you not go down that road again. And I feel like that's kind of how the behind the scenes conversation is going to go. But
they also don't have to allow him to freely speak. If he signs a contract, and in that contract it clearly states that you should not mention this, and or this, or if the consequences of you saying X, Y, and Z lead to this, fuck you. You get no money from us. Whether they want to keep him or not, you're in violation of a contract.
And if they redo the contract to fit that, but if not, then we'll go down that road, hopefully when it never happens. So Barbie, what was the second conversation? Just the economy and schools and stuff. That was a fun one. And then the Aaron Rodgers tangent we went on. This is a good episode. Tato, overall speaking, is this how you thought this episode was going to go? And what are your thoughts? Episode 3, we're rocking and rolling. We're getting a rhythm. I feel like we're doing a good job of finding our footing. How do you think today went?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I think it was a good one, and I did not predict where it was going to go, but I never try to do that because fucking the point is to just have a conversation and talk.
Yep.
They took a natural flow, and I think that is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I'm gonna spoil this right now. One of my TikTok clips that I'm gonna do from this episode is gonna be your bit, Tato. So you're gonna be at least one of the tip tops this, where your Kevin Smith quote. That was beautiful. I love that, and
Thank
I
you.
want I want you to get I want you to get the love that you deserve, because people are gonna like that. Jay, what are your thoughts on tonight's episode?
I'm Aaron Rodgers, and I hate flat earthers.
And I approve this message. I'm just gonna clip out you just saying you hate flat earthers. So
Absolutely, I fucking hate flat earthers. That's where I thought we were gonna go tonight. I had an hour's worth of material on flat earthers, and then we talked about poor kids, which just
and white women.
and white women, poor kids and white women. That's all we talk about.
And white women were never poor kids, so those are different conversations.
Yeah.
How did we get there? Because we didn't have Midge from Barbie, because she was a poor kid not eating. All right, we're not getting
Stan Allen around here.
We do, man. He loves rubbing them feet. Jay,
No,
final
I
thought.
don't.
No, this is a great conversation. Like, I don't want anybody who's listening to this or watching this to think that I am fucking antagonistic towards either one of the people that I do this show with, because I'm not. I just get super fucking passionate about shit like this, and it's one of those reasons why, like, when I say don't let 80-year-olds run this fucking country, I'm running for politics in my own fucking city and in my own state. I think that everybody who feels the way that I feel, or Henry feels, or that Tato feels, you should do the same, regardless of what it is that you believe in. If you believe strongly enough and you want to affect change, do that thing. Run for it. Don't let your fucking past define you. Create your now and create your future. Fucking run for office. Don't let fucking dinosaurs tell you this is how shit should be, because they're not going to be here in 3 years, my guy. You will be.
I love it. I respect that. And yeah, this was a blast. As like Tato said, you never know where the topic's going to go. I go into every episode having at least one point of conversation and just kind of let our chemistry flow, and that's kind of how this went naturally. So I love that. So yeah, this is episode 3. Make sure you comment below your thoughts on Barbie, the American economy system, Aaron Rodgers, if you're caught up on that bit, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, and make sure that you're just giving us the love that we deserve, because we're 3 straight white males taking it back to the times when never mind, we're going to take that out because that's going to get out of proportion. My name's Henry Confidential. Taking America back, God damn it. That is Jay Burns, and that is Tato. If you know me, you know that's a joke, and that's free speech. I'm allowed to say it. If you made this far in the video and you decide to,
he's allowed to say it like you're allowed to yell fire in a movie theater. What the fuck, bro?
If you made this far in the video and you decide to clip that out, then you're a complete scumbag. If you made this far in the video and you laughed at it, that's why you're here. My name's Henry Confidential. That is Jay. That is Tato. And we're taking it back. Hey, yo.